Hi, Patrick here, and welcome to Dollar Theater, the Voters Edition. That's right. If you're watching this, it's a Friday, and this is the edition of Dollar Theater where I put up 5 movies and you guys vote on them, on what we watched. So, obviously, last week we went with the superhero theme, and we put up some good ones up there, I thought. I thought it was interesting. We had The Incredible Hulk from 2008 with Edward Norton. Superman 3 with Christopher Reeve and Richard Pryor. Batman 89. The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. Of course, the Batman 89 is the Michael Keaton Batman. Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. And then we have the MCU movie, Shanghai Legend of the Ten Rings. Simu Liu and I wanted to put Michelle Yao's name on there, but it wouldn't fit, so I went with Aquafina. I think that hurt his chances a little bit, as it only got one vote. Um, I really thought, quite honestly, I knew this was going to be a runaway. I knew Batman '89 was going to win, and I thought, well, if there could be an upset, it would actually be Superman 3. Maybe a ghost of a chance with, maybe a chance with Shang-Chi. But I pretty much knew Batman '89 was going to run away with it. So we watched Batman '89. I got 2 disc special edition on DVD. Of course, this is Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson as the Joker. We had Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale, among others. And I admit, it's been a long time since I watched this movie. I do remember when I watched it the first time, I wasn't that impressed. I really wasn't. I guess what I really wasn't was when I heard they cast Michael Keaton as Batman. And Michael Keaton, to me at the time, was just too small. He's a small man. He gave it a good run. From what I remember, I gave it a good run. Jack Nicholson played a great Joker. And who in the hell would... I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that liked Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale. Not once. In fact, I think this is one of Tim Burton's poorest directing jobs in terms of directing an actor in any of his movies, because she was terrible and he didn't fix it. That's what I remembered. So I go ahead and I put Batman '89 on, and everything came roaring back. Exactly how I remembered it. Michael Keaton was too small. Vicky Vale shrieked. Jack Nicholson stole the movie, and it just wasn't very good. I know, right? I know you're going to be surprised to hear that, but I am not a fan of this movie, quite honestly. I never was. I just thought it was... I just didn't like it. I just didn't believe him to be Batman. Vicky Vale was a character that just had no spine, and she was supposed to be a big war photographer, and yet she shrieked at everything. I thought Jack Nicholson, of course, I think he played a great Joker. You can't deny him that. You cannot deny the man played a great Joker. And his gang was also very effective, including Tracy Walter as Bob, his right-man henchman. Of course, Billy D. Williams was noted in here as playing Harvey Dent, who he, that was a news there too. It's really interesting in the fact that, okay, I don't know if you know this or not. This is actually an origin story. But it's not Batman's origin story, and that's actually a little bit of refreshing. It's actually the Joker's origin story. And it's interesting because one of the things that Jack Nicholson wanted, and I'm glad he got it because he did deserve it, and that is his name on top of all the promotion. So every time you see every time you see Batman '89, you'll always see Jack Nicholson's name's listed first on the call sheet. He's first, Michael Keaton second, even though his character is supposed to be the main character. But it is a origin story of the Joker, how he became the Joker. Now they got a little bit of it wrong, uh, as having him kill Bruce Wayne's parents. That was inaccurate. That was Joe Chill that had done that in the comic books. But it made for a good storyline for the movie. Basically, Joker is working for the mob boss Grissom, played by Jack Palance, and he's cheating on he's cheating with the boss's girl, played by supermodel Jerry Hall, and he doesn't think that the boss knows what he's been up to, but the boss is smarter than he thinks, so he basically sends him out on a suicide run to save Boss Grissom. He has some incriminating paperwork left in a safe. Uh, Jack Napier, who is the Joker's his regular name, they get ambushed by the Gotham PD, and they're in the fight with the PD. And then Batman, he falls into the vat, and he becomes the Joker. Now I have to admit something, and this is something I had forgotten, and that is when Batman. And this is actually, think about this. This is actually what fans of today. I have to admit, I was like, okay, this is probably the most singular moment. Is when Batman goes ahead and after he gets Napier, he grabs him with one hand and he holds him there. Now he could have rescued him. He could have. He could have used both hands. He could have used a grappling. I mean, it was just, he didn't have to just hold him on there with one hand, but he did, and they let him go. And no reaction from Batman. No, like, oh shit, or oh, I didn't mean for that to happen. He dropped him. He dropped him on purpose. And I thought that was, seeing that again, I'm going like, maybe that's probably when Batman became like a superhero to more like an anti-hero, because the more I like Batman, everybody likes Batman, but the more you really look at the character and study the character, you realize that Batman really is not a good guy. He's a monster. He is a monster. It shocks me. I still like the character. I'm still a big fan of it. But I can also accept the fact that he is not a good guy. He's not, he isn't. He may want to be, but he's not. And it's interesting too. Later on during the MCU, they introduced Batman's son, Damian, and Damian is basically how Batman should have been growing up and into the work today. Because Damian Wayne is lethal. He doesn't care. He'll kill you. He may be 12 years old, but he will take you out. And Bruce Wayne doesn't have that in him, and he should, if he's doing the business that he did. In fact, Batman, when he first started out in the comic books, he was a killer. He did kill, and in fact, they do show in this movie that he does kill more than one person. He doesn't just kill the Joker. There's some henchmen that he kills out as well. So there is a homage to the comic book, the Batman of the comic book. But again, it's not so much the portrayal of Batman as Batman himself. Michael Keaton being 5'7", he's face to face with Vicky Vale. I'm sorry, but that takes me right out of it. That takes me right out of it. Batman has to be a taller man. He has to be 6'2", 6'1", 6'2", maybe even 6'3". All depends who draws him. But you cannot have a 5'7" or 5'8" Batman. You just can't. The movie was well. I mean, other than the Kim Basinger, the movie was well directed. I mean, it was it's okay. It's done okay. Definitely see where sets were. A little too much action at night for me. I like Batman. I like him during the day. I like seeing him in action during the day. He isn't always just a night vigilante. He fights during the day as well. It's almost like during the night he fights as Batman. During the day he fights as Justice League. I mean, go figure that. What's really interesting is the casting of this movie. The producers of this movie were Grubers and Peters. Now you guys are going like, who's Gruber and Peters? It's John Peters, and wow, what I want to say, I want to say, let's see who I say. Well, I want to know about John Peters. Let's talk about John Peters for a minute. So, John Peters is the producer that wanted Kevin Smith to direct a Superman movie and have him fight a spider. So you heard that story, you just shake your head, going like, "What the hell does he know?" But John Peters is actually one that actually casted Michael Keaton in the role, and he also cast Kim Basinger. Um, Sean Young was supposed to be Vicky Vale, but she got hurt in a horse riding accident. And then the auditions were really intense for the casting. This was I was reading about this, and I remember how hot I remember how hot it was, and I do remember people were really like they didn't want Michael Keaton either as Batman. I mean, they did not want him. They had a voting poll, a voting. I think it was you had to call it like an 800 number, and you could put your vote in there. But some of the people that were considered to play Batman included Mel Gibson, Kevin Costner, Charlie Sheen, Tom Selleck. Tom Selleck would have been really interesting. I just don't know about his voice though. His voice is so a little bit high pitchy. Bill Murray. Um, could you even imagine that? I mean, it's just. But I guess he was popular at the time. Harrison Ford, no, because Harrison Ford would have wanted to get killed in the second movie. So I'm glad. And they also approached none other than Pierce Brosnan to play Batman, and he said no. He was not playing a comic book character. Yeah. A couple of years ago, there's Pierce Brosnan playing Doctor Fate in Black Adam. So how things have changed. I like this. I like Tim Burton when he put his 2 cents in. He wanted William Dafoe to play the Joker. Now that was very interesting. That would have been interesting. I think he would have made a great Joker, obviously, because we saw him play the Green Goblin and Spider Man, and he was excellent in that. Really top drawer. Um, he William Dafoe would have been a great Joker. Um, but Jack Nicholson, I mean, the fact that he committed to the part, he didn't ham it up. He really didn't. He played it straight. I mean, he other than Heath Ledger, he probably, as far as the modern Jokers go, always other than Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson. In fact, it all depends who you talk to, who is better. The story is basic. Let's be honest here. The story is a little basic and a little bit far fetched. Um, he comes onto the scene. He's going to give out $20 million. He's trying to get everybody to poke at the Batman, and it's like, you just got done killing people everywhere, including newscasters on the air. It's just all a little bit rushed. As far as I was concerned, even though the movie itself was 2 hours long, it did well at the box office. It was a big movie, and it did really well. It was made for $48 million. Could you imagine that, a superhero movie, a mainstream superhero movie, being made for $50 million today, and it made over $400 million. Jack Nicholson took a pay cut, and for the back end, and he exchanged his $10 million fee. He cut it down to $6 million, and ended up making close between 60 and 90 million. That's a pretty good payday. Pretty smart business move right there. Of course, what really made this movie pop as well was the fact that Prince was really hot at the time. He did the sound. He did this. He did the not the score, but he did the soundtrack for Batman, and it was extremely successful. It was a big hit. Danny Elfman, who did most of, if not all, of Tim Burton's movies, he did the score. So There's some positives here. I'm not laying waste to the Batman '89. I'm just saying that it's not that good. It got better. I like the second one, Batman Returns. I was more of a fan of that movie with Danny DeVito as the Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. I was much more a fan of that movie than Batman '89, but it did crack open the door. It did open the door because of Batman. Because at this time, Superman was petering out. It was not doing well. Every movie that Superman had done was coming back with diminishing returns. So to come back and do Batman kept the door open for comic books. Like, okay, because if Batman had not had done very well, that might have closed the door. We might not have gotten any more superhero movies. But this movie, Batman and Batman Returns, and the rest of the franchise kept it open till we got to Spawn and Blade. So this edition carries the movie and also carries a ton of special features, including commentary by Tim Burton, the director Tim Burton, Bob Kane. Bob Kane was still alive at this time. He was on set. Bob Kane thought that the movie was going to be filmed like in the 1960s. They thought that they were going to be a little bit more campy. I don't think he realized they were going to play it straight. So there's a bunch of other special features on here as well. If you're a comic book fan, I definitely recommend this. If you're a Michael Keaton fan, Jack Nicholson fan, definitely recommend it. Tim Burton fan, if you're a completist, definitely recommend it. But again, not my favorite. Not my favorite by far. But thank you for voting for it though. It was good to take a trip down memory lane, and we got some more coming up. We are doing a new theme for next week. We're doing a library theme. That's right, a library theme. We're going to pick out 5 movies that I've gotten from the library. 5. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And as a matter of fact, I guess I could show you a little bit because by the time you see this. So all these movies came from the library. And that's what we're going to pick for next week's Dollar Theater, the Voters Edition. Thank you again for voting. I really do appreciate it. All right, we are out of here. Thanks for watching, and we will see you for the next round.